So I was initially the runner in my twin flame dynamic, and I want to tell you what that really feels like. There are so many of you that may wonder, does my person think of me? Do they know who I am to them? Are they going to come back? And I'm coming to tell you from my perspective, from initially the runner's perspective, of how that feels. So this video might be really useful to those of you that maybe feel like you've been ghosted or you've been abandoned by your twin flame. It could be for those of you that are on a twin flame journey and are spiritually awakened to it and are maybe receiving messages from your intuition and your guides that your person might be coming back. Let me share with you. I think it's really important to understand a little bit of the background into perhaps why I ran. So I was brought up in a highly fanatical religious household. The girls were very much expected to get married at the age of 18, and our parents actually had people lined up for us. They would pick who they wanted for our partners. My brothers, they were all sent on missions when they were 18, which they paid for by themselves. And I was born into this religion, so this is something that I grew up with and I believed was the truth. I never ever wanted to disappoint my family, and I also didn't want to leave the church because I honestly thought that I would be punished for all of eternity if that was something that I did. Now, when I met my twin, this challenged everything. You can probably understand that if I decided to be with this person, then I would disappoint my family, I would end up having to leave the church, and actually that is exactly what I did. My entire belief system was turned upside down, and certainly it caused chaos within my family. My parents were disappointed, and I did ask to be excommunicated from the church because I couldn't uphold the standards of the church anymore. And that wasn't easy for me. Like I say, the church was my family. It was everything to me, my whole entire lifestyle. After that, I went on to live with my twin flame for almost 4 years. And for most of that time, it felt like us against the world. And actually, that kind of dynamic can really strengthen a relationship. However, there were also a lot of triggers that were happening at the same time. I didn't necessarily feel very beautiful. I did not have a good self-concept about myself. And I really felt, and they kind of mirrored, that they might like other people. There was often times where they wouldn't come home, and there was often times where they didn't make me feel like I was the prize, like they really wanted to be with me. And I perceived threats all around me, that they would prefer others and that one day they would abandon me. And so before they could do that, I decided that I would be the runner, that I would leave so that they wouldn't have to leave me. And I wouldn't have to feel that hurt inside of being left and abandoned. Now, in true Avalon style, I didn't just leave. I sabotaged everything. There was a part of me that felt like it wanted to burn it all down so that it could never come back together again. And so what that looked like for me was moving to an entirely different country, and fairly soon after arriving in that country, getting into another relationship that would mean that I would not be able to go back. The entire time that I was doing it, I was really aware that I was sabotaging. And I really tried to integrate myself into this new life that I had chosen. And actually, it was a very important time in my life. Horrible time, but a very important time because, like I had said in a video the other day, it was when I really learned that I could no longer run. I absolutely had to face my own nonsense. And I had to take responsibility for choices that I had made that made huge impacts on my life. Now, I never contacted my twin flame within that time period, but I certainly thought of them. And nights would be the time that I would think of them the most. Alberta has the most beautiful skies, especially at night. There is so little light pollution that you can see entire star systems. And I would often think to myself that even though we are not in contact, we still live on this same earth together and under this same sky. And I would pray that somehow I'd be released from the circumstances that I had put myself into, so that one day I might be able to connect with my twin flame again. So that might answer one of your questions. Do they think of you? If they are really your twin flame, then yes, they do. Now, did I know that they were my twin flame? I'd never heard that word before. I went through a spiritual reawakening in 2015, and it was shortly after then that I heard the word twin flame, and suddenly everything made sense. It was almost like a veil had been lifted in an instant, and I knew exactly who they were to me. So it became an understanding to me that this was not just a romantic, heartfelt connection, but there was actually spiritual obligation to it as well. A contract that we had come into to help each other to awaken. And yes, I feel that many of us get very caught up in the romantic side of it and feel that that is its main purpose. And that's just not the case. For some of you, absolutely, you will come into union in this particular lifetime, but only if both of you can really overcome your triggers and your insecurities inside. Otherwise, one of you is going to out-evolve the other, and you're constantly going to be on different timelines and different vibrational frequencies. And actually, that might really scare a lot of you. I know the thought of it at one point in time worried me, of having to leave my twin behind because I had evolved in a different way that they had. But maybe that's a topic for an entirely different video, because I'm sure many of you are asking yourself, well, what happens? Do we come back together? And of course, I don't know for each of you what that's going to look like, but I can only tell you my side of the story, which is, yes, we did get back together, and we were together for another couple of years, where I would fly back and forth to the UK to visit them, and those times were beautiful together. And I thought that we were going to end up together, but then they became the runner. The abandonment issues that I had left them, that then became their fear. And then energetically, I became the chaser. And energetics are everything within a twin flame dynamic. I often do private readings, and my advice is what you need to do is you need to work on yourself. You need to stop the energetic chasing and work on your own self-concept and your mindset. It is the single most powerful thing that you can do within a twin flame dynamic, because once you energetically stop chasing, the runner will feel it and they will stop running. And then it's simply a matter of time before the two of you connect again in some way. To end by saying, there are many, many soul dynamics. They can be twin flames, there can be soulmates, there can be twin souls. And from my perspective, twin souls are incredible for your spiritual journey and for you to have this soul evolution if you allow it. And you know what? If you both heal, maybe that relationship will be the most magnificent one that you've ever experienced. However, if one of you evolves and the other one does not, and they are given a certain time frame to do so by spirit, then you might be pushed into higher dimensions where you meet your twin soul.